is suspected to be the burial cloth of Jesus.
Like, Lord willing, it be actually being Jesus. If I can't even look at that, I don't know how anybody else could say that and actually face God themselves.
You're not going to get all the evidence that you really want, but I think this is just helping those people.
Many would die from the deceit of others, but who would die knowing that what they teach is a lie?
What's the truth? Tell me how you pick and choose.
I know the truth, that's what me.
So I have a topic, the Shroud of Turin, right? This is, for me, the most fascinating thing, like recently, like when it comes to archaeology and stuff like that. This is the most fascinating thing for me.
And what, like, put it in simple terms for people that so they know exactly what it is.
Right. So I guess I'll talk to you guys for a second, but for those who don't know what the Shroud of Turin is, it basically is suspected to be the burial cloth of Jesus when he was crucified, right? So he was crucified, put into a tomb, and people really believe that this, and there's some good evidence to suggest that this was the burial cloth. And if so, like, this is the biggest, biggest discovery ever
of, like, Christian,
like,
evidence.
We'll put videos in the description so that you guys can get it, a glimpse into it. But if this is true, then the pictures that you'll see, if you do end up looking on those videos, you'll be looking at the face of Jesus Christ, and that is, bro.
I have something to say about that.
Go ahead.
Well, there's so many, like, talking points, but one, like, when I first saw it, the actual shroud, and that it was, like, speculated to be Jesus, I couldn't look at it. It was almost like my eyes weren't meant to, like, I'm like, in Revelation when John, he can't even look and he falls down on his face because he can't. I feel like that's what it was like for me. Like, it was like I'm not allowed to see this. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me think of how when people say, like, God, if you're real, show yourself to me. And it's like, do you really want God to show himself to you? Like, what, when people say, like, why doesn't God come down right now and show himself? It's like, you do not want, if I can't even look, like, Lord willing, it be actually being Jesus, if I can't even look at that, I don't know how anybody else could say that and actually face God themselves. I feel like that's scary.
Yeah. What did you should I talk? Okay. When you first heard about it, Paris, like, because you've looked into it a little bit and all that stuff. So what was your initial, like, reaction? Like, okay, I'll ask, do you think,
Go ahead.
do you think that it could be like the burial cloth of Jesus?
I think that's a strong possibility, most definitely. I feel I'll say maybe I'm indifferent, because if it is, that's awesome. If it's not, what, like, there's so many other evidence, of everything. One, just, of course, the disciple, like, testimonies of people. People died, for this, and you're not going to die for something that is a fake story,
Very
so true. I think it would be great for people who are uncertain and they're still rattling the fence, like, oh, I need evidence, when blessed are those who believe and have not seen. You're not going to get all the evidence that you really want, but I think this is just helping those people, if that is the case.
Yeah.
You want to say
What?
I was going to say, in regards to what you had said about, the disciples were teaching and they died for that. Many would die from the deceit of others, but who would die knowing that what they teach is a lie? And so with other religions, you have, so and so heard from a prophet and they died because of what the prophet told them. But in Christianity, we have the very ones who claim, the founders of our faith, right, who taught, like Paul and these people, they died for and they were willing to be persecuted, and we have evidence of that.
They found joy in that.
Exactly.
Like, it's an honor to die for the Lord.
And it's like, whoa, that you have to say something, because everybody knows that these people existed, but the whole is like, why would you get to a point where you actually are willing to die for this this man?
It seems more instrumental than having the evidence in some sense, that people risk, like, die for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know I ain't dying for nothing that is, could be, should be.
For real.
Like,
For
no.
real. Like, okay, so I want to, if it's okay, I want to just give some little details about the shroud for those who don't know. So it has been studied for decades, right? Scientists still to this day do not know how it was created. So there is no pigment or dye on it, right? The body has wounds that resemble a crucified person. It even has several cuts around the head, perhaps from the crown of thorns, right? So it's believed to have been formed by light, and it seems the image was created from the inside out. And the fact that they're able to actually figure these things out is just so fascinating. It's like you can almost, I was actually watching a video, I hadn't finished, but it's like you could see the movement, like the body was about to, within the shroud of the body was about to be moving or coming out of the shroud. Anyway, I don't want to speak too much on it because I'm not too familiar with it, but anyway, so the image is actually a negative. It wasn't dated at first at the time of Jesus.
The image was a negative?
It's a negative.
What does that mean?
So a negative, basically, it's like when you take a picture and the colors are inverted, basically, right? So it's that type of thing. So it's like the darker, if I'm not mistaken, the darker it is, that means like the closer the image is to the actual the darker pattern on the shroud would mean that the face basically would be closer touching the shroud, and the lighter areas would be further away. So it has 3D information within the shroud, right? So we know it's not just a like somebody drew it or something like that, right?
That it sat and absorbed the oils on the face and all that.
Right. Okay, so it wasn't dated at first at the time of Jesus, but it was found to have been repaired. So it went through some repair process through the centuries, and the repaired portion of the shroud was actually the part that was dated. So at first it wasn't dated at the time of Jesus because they took a part of the repaired portion, right? Because I think it was
that makes it newer.
Right. So it went under I think it was damaged by a fire, and they had repaired it, and they dated it using that part that was repaired, basically. So it gave an earlier date.
Oh yeah.
But since then they did more dating, and it was dated to be around the time of Jesus. There was actually blood on the shroud, and it has chemicals that's typical of a tortured person, right? There's something called pulmonary. I know I'm giving out a lot of facts, but there's a pulmonary edema mixed in with the blood, and what that is, it's a liquid that occurs in the lungs when the body is
suffocating.
Right, asphyxiation. Right, the blood is AB. It's AB type blood, which is 3 times more common in Mediterranean Jews than in Europeans. This is one of the most fascinating things. This next part, 2/3 of the pollen on the shroud. They even found pollen on the shroud, and 2/3 of it is from flowers that only bloom during Passover time in Israel. And Jesus was crucified during Passover.
Yeah, during Passover.
Bro, looking at it,
it lines up. It could line up perfectly.
Yeah, it lines up with the description of Jesus, you know, in the scriptures. And it's like, this is actually something interesting because somebody actually did some try to replicate it, because it was told that scientists can't replicate it, basically, right? That no one could replicate it. Somebody tried to, I think, in 2010 or something like that. And maybe we'll put this in the description. But the replication it just pales in comparison. I wish I could show y'all, but the replication really just pales in comparison to the actual
worse?
thing.
It's
worse. So much worse. It's like Ruslan made a good point. He's like, it's like a grade school project to the real thing. It looks ridiculous. So it can't, if we can't replicate it with our modern technologies now, there's no it has to be supernatural, because we can't even think of a way with all of our technology.
Why are you doing this?
I'm sorry. Because I'm just excited.
That's how you think.
But it's like, if we can't replicate it today, right, and we don't know how it was done, then the ancients certainly didn't, because they have lesser technology. So it's like, and it's known that it was created with light. It's only on the very, like the couple millimeters on the top of the cloth. It's no pigment, no dye. It's like, we don't know what it is. It's like,
yeah.
This for me, I really do think it's Jesus.
Was it people who discovered it secular, or?
Yeah, both secular and
or what's
Christians.
The word?
Yeah, it'll be secular, non-religious people. Basically.
Non-religious people.
Yeah, But yeah, both secular and non-Christians alike, they don't know, and both are saying that.
But secular people are saying it could be Jesus. Are people saying that? Are they saying that?
You know what? I don't. I think that I don't know. I didn't really look into it, to be honest. But I do think that they are skeptical of that it being Jesus. Like, it does align with it. But the fact that I do know this, that many secular people are saying that, like, it can't be replicated today. They don't know how it's been done.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most studied, like, archaeological topics in the world in history.
Yeah.
It is.
I wanted to bring up that we had visited. It was some Jesus thing, like back in February. I don't know. It was like an ad on Instagram, and it was like this Jesus museum.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So PJ and I, we ended up going, and it was like they had the ossuary, like this.
The burial box.
Burial box of, I think it was
Jesus'
James
brother.
And Joseph. No.
Yeah,
it was James and somebody else. Zechariah. Their ossuary and a bunch of like other archaeological things in there, but
they were going on tour, huh?
Yeah. But my point is that it was secular.
Oh yeah,
people
it's Zacharias.
Yeah. It was secular people who did it, right? Who did the archaeology? For that Jesus museum.
Oh yeah. The fact that
Did you even hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening. I was pulling up the pictures. You're talking about the ossuary.
Picture for what? Oh, of the ossuary.
Yeah, because the secular scientists basically confirmed, right? And you gotta always point that out because people think,
oh, if it's Christians doing it, they could tamper it and make it seem like
right. But this is it. That's where James was. It's like these things don't occur in a vacuum. Like, this is like real.
Well, we can get into like God's preservation, like how he preserves, because you brought that up, how God, I think you said about how God preserves his, stuff like this for his glory. I wanted to bring up Isaiah 48 because it says, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. And I think even with that, it's like, if it's, Lord willing, like true evidence, it stands, Yeah,
the truth doesn't fear like critique or scrutiny, because the stands.
Truth.
All right, the truth is truth. I do want to say this. Luke 12:47 through 48 says, "And that servant who knew his master's will but did not get ready or act according to his will receive a severe beating. But the one who did not know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required, and from him to whom they entrusted much, they will demand the more." Basically, what I see this as is basically, you have been given light. We have been given more light with this discovery, right? More truth, more evidence, basically. And it's like the more we're giving, I think the more we're responsible to do something with that. So it's like for the skeptic out there who is watching, and it's like you
come into knowledge of this,
right? You are responsible. I mean, if this whole thing really is real, and you are, as the scriptures do say, that we suppress the truth in unrighteousness, Romans chapter 1, you will be incurring greater judgment for yourself if you were to reject these truths.
I wanted to bring up the Hebrews 10 verse that says, "How much more punishment do you think will be deserved by the one who has trampled underfoot the Son of God, and has profaned the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified, and has outraged the Spirit of grace?" Like, if this is true, that this is evidence for Jesus, and you're trampling it under your foot, like, no, it's not, I don't care, and you go on deliberately sinning, it's almost like what does it say? How much worse of a punishment are you going to get?
Yeah, so
gonna get beat bad.
Yeah, very true. A severe beating, that's what it says. So I mean, that's
not good.
And you know what this also says? It says that punishment is not the same. Punishment is not the same. Contrary to popular, opinion, God doesn't view all sins the same. Like, all sin is worthy of hell, but certain sins are just worse than others, right? I mean, it's worse to kill somebody than, in my opinion, it's worse to kill. I think God will think it's worse to kill somebody like Hitler, right? We got to beep that out. Than to tell a lie or something like that. I mean, so it's like
be hungry and steal food or something,
Right. I mean, it's God is a good judge, and He's going to judge things
Yeah, He judges
rightly.
righteously.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like I mean, it's different punishments, man.
That's a whole nother topic.
That is a whole nother
Because
topic.
then people start to ask, like, why does God allow bad things to happen? You know, why do certain people die in other countries, and
Yes.
are they going to hell? And you know, it's just, yeah, that's a big topic.
That's another time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway.
66 Bobby.